let's begin by Barclays, looking at Barclays Bank, where the share price hit a one-year high at the end of last week due to rising demand, of course, 52% up for the first 5 months of this year, closed the day at 64 shillings. What's your analysis of what's happening to bring up that particular counter that high?
Thank you for having me, Terryanne. That's an interesting observation. Indeed, Barclays has rallied over the past, let's say, a month or so. It's been fairly stable at between the 60 shilling mark and the 64 shilling mark. Today, I even saw trades, I saw offers at 69 shillings, meaning we could see a further resurgence and we could see the market even go higher than that. So I think it's expected. Barclays, by all means, is a very stable stock, a blue chip. And we also have its earnings per share at 4 shillings and 50 cents. And we're also expecting the second quarter results, which we are expecting to be very positive, as it is with the banks. And moving forward, I think the sentiments are also positive because as the economic survey for 2010 showed, the sector that grew the most was indeed the financial sector.
Still sticking with the financial sector, mixed expectations as Kenya Commercial Bank releases their half-one results tomorrow. Renaissance Capital has talked about having a flat figure, while other analysts say we wouldn't probably be seeing Kenya Commercial Bank rushing to announce these results, when the rights issue is going on, if the results would be flat. What are your expectations for the results tomorrow?
Like with any other financial sector company and the banks, I would expect the results to be much positive than they were in 2009 and the year before that, when we had the recession and we also had the dip. And we also have, yes, as you so mentioned, we have the rights issue. It may not be a good timing as such to have the results released with haste. All that said, I say the analysts could be right in saying that it may be flat. As we've seen with the rights issue, it's been a bit not so positive as such, because we've seen the price for the rights dip from a shilling to a quarter of that. But all in all, I think things will be good for the bank.
And how do you see the stock performing, keeping in mind how the rights has been performing?
I expected this from the word go, and I mentioned it earlier in a previous interview, that the KCB must be very careful with the price they quote for the rights, and it was not that much discounted. They gave it at 17 shillings when the share price was playing between 18 shillings and 50 cents. Not much of a discount. And again, most of the shareholders feel the same, and maybe that's why there's been a kind of sluggish uptake. The government also did not take up its rights. I'm also curious to see, they say these rights have been traded in high volume, especially last week Friday, but I'm still curious to see what the outcome of this will be and whether there'll be an undersubscription or they'll raise the 15 billion planned.
Let's step away from the financials into the telecom sector, which is bound to be quite exciting in this particular market. In yet another move to bound the impact to the mobile phone sector here, Bharti Airtel decided to launch a new business model targeting the rural areas with an initial investment of 12 billion shillings. How do you see this impacting the telecom sector with focus on Safaricom?
This will be a major shift in interest. It will be a major competitor for Safaricom. This may be actually the biggest thing Safaricom may have to contend with. But that said, Safaricom is a mature company. It is really set base. It still enjoys the market share. It still enjoys the greatest population. So I think Bharti may have an uphill task. That said, we must remember Bharti is the third largest of its kind globally. So we may not have to underestimate it and write it off too quickly. Another thing we should notice is that Bharti have brought on board Scan Group, which again is a giant in its own right in the advertising and media industry. So I think they have their cards right, and now it's to wait and for the forces to play themselves out.
Now, some news emerging from the cement industry that may negatively impact prices. What exactly is happening there, and how do you see this affecting the performance of companies such as Athi River Mining and Bamburi Cement?
I saw that in the paper, and I think we have they call themselves Mombasa Cement, come up with a very discounted rate for their cement. And we saw the last time that happened with East African Portland Cement, it affected the industry profitability. So fears, yes, are there. Fears are that we may see a repeat of history. But another thing we must note is the call by the cement manufacturers locally and regionally to have the import duty imposed once more, because once it has been waived, and we know we get a lot of competition from Pakistan and China. So all these factors play to kind of undermine the cement industry. But as again, I'm optimistic, and we'll see what happens.
Now, the countdown to the August 4th referendum has begun. There's 23 days to go. What's the current sentiment in the markets?
Well, we've seen in this country there's always like an inverse relationship between political risk and economical stability. The higher the political risk, the lower the economic stability. And right now, in the economic political calendar, we have the referendum as the only hurdle to our bullish market. So I believe the only thing we can hope for is for a yes vote, because I mean, if it's a no vote, all bets are off, and again we are back to square one.
All right, thank you very much. We'll end it for today, there for today, Robert.